What does it take to start a law firm? And do you have what it takes to start a law firm? Tune in and find out if you have what it takes.
You are listening to the Prosper at Law podcast. Learn how to reduce stress, have more time, and make more money. Come on in.
I'm Greg McCollum, and I built a 7-figure criminal defense law firm. I formed Prosper at Law to show criminal defense law firm owners who are desperate for success how to grow from under $200,000 to $1 million and beyond. Do you have what it takes to start a law firm? And I don't mean, do you have the money? I don't mean, do you have an office? I mean, if you start a law firm, it's very different than working for a law firm. It's very different from having a job. And do you have what it takes? Because if you don't have what it takes, then you probably should rethink it. Most businesses don't succeed. And I see a lot of people in my area. I've seen people that worked for the government, worked for the DA's office. Maybe some people worked in the public defender's office. Maybe they worked for a law firm where the law firm owner makes it look easy, but it's not easy. And so people go out there, and then I see them, they're out there for a year or two, and then next thing I know, they're back at the DA's office. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what it shows, though, is they do not have what it takes. When you work for somebody, if you work in a law firm and the law firm's highly successful, it can be confusing. And there are a couple of things going on. One is that you think that the law firm owner is making what we call all this money. And the law firm, in a lot of respects, is a pass-through for the money. All that money doesn't go to the law firm owner. A profit in a law firm may be 20%. So if the law firm is making $1 million a year, then the profit is $200,000. So there could be a couple other figures with that, because the law firm owner could be making $100,000 a year or $200,000 a year and then have $200,000 worth of profit. And that's not bad. That's good. And they should make money, and there should be a profit. But there's a lot to it. And if you are a lawyer and you work for the public defender's office, or you have a job defending people, or you work for a law firm and you have some criminal defense clients, being a lawyer, whether you're in criminal defense or any area, maybe transactional law is not that stressful, but litigation, courtroom stuff, and by litigation, I mean trial work, is stressful. Defending people is stressful. Fighting somebody every day to try to get what your client needs or deserves is stressful. Having somebody whose job is to keep you from doing your job is stressful. Going in front of judges that are fighting you every step of the way is stressful. Having people look at you like you're the scum of the earth because you're defending somebody on something that's really egregious is stressful. It's very romanticized, and it should be in movies and films and books and stuff, because you're the hero. You're going against the grain. You're doing something noble, and that's difficult. Now, I haven't even talked about owning a business. I'm just talking about being a lawyer. I'm just talking about being a criminal defense lawyer. Now, if you want to cube that stress, if you want to do that stress times itself 3 times, start a law firm. Because now what you have to deal with is you have to deal with everything. Every problem is your problem. Every day, all the problems in that day are your problems. And everybody's looking at you. Everybody's relying on you to have the answer. And do you have the answer? Can you solve that problem? Now, in the beginning, it literally is you solving the problem. Later, if you build a law firm business, you're solving the problem, but other people are doing the solution. In other words, you say, well, we're going to handle it this way, and then they go carry that out. That's 10 times easier than you trying to figure out how you're going to do it, and then you carrying it out. And then ultimately, if you build the right law firm with the right people, they're going to solve problems for you. They're going to bring you solutions. In my law firm now, it's remarkable because it wasn't always like this. The people that work for me are so good that when there is a problem, it usually comes like this. In my regular meetings that I meet with my firm administrator, or sometimes people that, like the people that work in our intake team, our sales team, paralegal, it usually looks like this. They set a meeting with me, and so it's scheduled, it's on the calendar. I don't know what it's about. They come in, they close the door, and say, "Hey, Greg, I want you to know this happened." And then they tell me something that happened, and then they say, "This is what I did to resolve it. And it's done. It's resolved. I just want you to know that that happened." Or the person comes in and says, "Listen, this happened. I talked to Kelly about it. We talked about 2 solutions, and we chose this solution, and we've implemented it, and the problem is solved. But if anything ever comes up, I just want you to know about it." But it wasn't like that in the beginning. In the beginning, when I would, park my car, be on the phone maybe, walking in my office, holding a file that's falling out of my hand, trying to, hold my coffee in one hand, and then I go in the door, and it's like the people that work for me, they weren't that many people, but they're literally lined up to say, "Well, this just happened. This person just called. This thing broke. This isn't going right. Somebody didn't, miss court. This client doesn't understand. This client's mad. This person says you won't call him back." And so they're just bombarded with it. Okay. If you look at the statistics about business, not lawyers, because criminal lawyers, there's somebody across town trying to keep them from doing their job. It's, when you're a criminal defense lawyer in an adversary system, there's somebody whose job is to keep you from doing your job. Just in business, people that open a sandwich shop, people that open an ice cream shop, people that open a shoe store, people that do anything, those people generally don't succeed. Those people, they don't make it usually. I think, 90% of them, something like that, are out of business. What is it, a year, 5 years, whatever it is. They don't have what it takes because they are not committed enough. They're not strong enough. They're not tough enough to weather that storm and solve those problems. Because to start a business, and all business is solving problems. If somebody didn't have a problem for you to solve, they wouldn't pay you. That's all business life is solving problems. And the better you solve those problems and the better you treat your customers, or as a law firm clients, then the more successful you will be. So in this kind of setting, what does it take? It takes a couple of things, and I've talked about this before. You've got to become comfortable being uncomfortable, because this stuff will drive you crazy. And in order to grow, you have to go beyond your comfort zone. And to be really good, you have to be excellent. Now, who is excellent? And I don't know if you're a football fan. I'm a college football fan. I'm not really another sports fan. I don't watch NBA. I don't watch college basketball. I don't watch anything. I don't watch pro baseball. I don't watch anything. Like, I can appreciate it. I like it. But I got enough to do just keeping up with my team, in college football. I can't spend the rest of my life watching sports because I won't accomplish anything. But I do love college football, and I watch probably too much of it, but also read about it. And I had the opportunity well, I have a whole library of quotes of Nick Saban, but it's not really something I saw on Facebook that said Nick Saban said, because I don't believe any of that. If I see that, the writer Albert Camus said this, or Jean-Paul Sartre said this, or John F. Kennedy said this, I don't believe any of it if it's on Facebook, okay? So what I do believe is when I have a video, and this could be fake too probably, is I have a video of Nick Saban giving a speech and talking, and he's talking about something. And I also heard this again, and I had an opportunity to see him at a conference in Atlanta, and he's somebody that I admire and respect so much. And he was talking about winning championships, and I'm talking about this in relation to your business. He said, it is not normal to be excellent. He said, the people that come into our program to win championships, he said, those are not normal people. People that want to do what it takes and work that hard and do what they have to do as a team to be the best there is. He said, that's completely abnormal. There's nothing normal about that. What's normal in the human condition is being comfortable and being unseen. You've heard the term, there's safety in numbers. There literally is safety in numbers, because the more you stand out, the more you're a target. And if you've listened to this podcast before, you've heard my zebra example, where zebras, they look like zebras. So when there's a herd of zebras, they don't stand out. Scientists studying the zebras, they couldn't figure out which zebra they were studying because they blend in. It's impossible to even study the zebra. So what do? They come up with the idea, well, we're going to put a mark on it. So somehow they figured out to put this red spot on the zebra. Now they can see the zebra because the zebra stands out. They're able to study the zebra. They're going to have a study then, except what happens? The lions kill the zebra with the red spot because they can pick him out too. You don't want to stand out. It's dangerous. You start being successful in your business, people start looking at you, people start taking shots at you. People start trying to see what you're doing and see if there's something they can do to stop it. That's unfortunate, but it's true. I remember talking to my ethics lawyer because I had this idea of creating this image or this icon, which I was going to try to do at that time. I was going to try to start an exclusive, Spanish-speaking law firm. So in part of that, and I got this idea from a guy that I know that's done this. And so I was going to do it like him, only I was going to do it better. So I was having my ethics lawyer look at this logo, this image of this logo and this character that we would kind of create. It wasn't really a character. I think it was a jaguar or something. And a lot of thought went into that. But anyway, that's on the scrap room floor right now. But I remember my ethics lawyer, because he was saying this, it can't represent this, it can't represent that, it has to be in this category to be compliant. And I said, okay. And he said, Greg, here's the thing. If you're not successful, no one cares. If this doesn't work, if this doesn't take off, you're not getting any complaints. Don't worry about it. It only matters if you stand out and you're successful. If you stand out and are successful, they're going to take shots at you. Okay? And so who wants to go through that? Who wants to be the target? Okay? Nobody. And if you look at successful people, if you look at the billionaires, and specifically if you look at what's going on in America right now, where they've actually brought in these entrepreneurs to see if they can trim the government. Look at the shots they're taking. And I'm not making a value judgment on whether what they're doing is good or bad. I'm not talking about that. They stand out, and a certain number of people hate them. Okay? So nobody wants to stand out. You know, people like Elon Musk, and Elon Musk specifically, I think I spends $4 million a year on keeping people from killing him. Well, you know, chances are other people, no one's trying to kill them because they're not successful like that. The more successful you are, literally, the more dangerous it is. So do you really want to go through that? And I'm not saying if you start a law firm, you're going to be Elon Musk. I hope you will. But do you want to stand out? It's unnatural to stand out. You want to be in the pack. You don't want to be the best. You don't want to be the worst. You want to get through your life in the pack. So if you're going to be successful, but I mean really successful, you got to stand out. So another thing that happened to me is you got to overcome this idea that we're going to be safe. I had an experience where as my law firm was growing, I knew that management's not Greg's strong point. That's management, and doing the numbers work in the law firm and doing the managing the people and keeping things tidy, in the business. I needed help. So I really wanted to launch and grow. And so I found this person who was actually a friend of mine at some level that I'd known. And she was terrific, and she's still terrific. And I brought her in because I wanted somebody to help guide me through the growth. And I made some mistakes with this because I think I tried to get her to make decisions based on my philosophy instead of me just sitting there and making the decisions and giving her marching orders. If I had done that, it might have turned out differently, but I don't know, because she was tied to safety, and I was tied to danger. I'm taking risks. I'm taking calculated risks. And she sees her job as not letting me get hurt or make mistakes or wreck the budget. And so there was this conflict between us. And at some point we had to part ways, because she really was really an employee, and I wanted her to be kind of a business partner. So she couldn't be a business partner because it's a law firm and she's a non-lawyer, so she can't be a partner. In other words, she can't be a named partner, but she could receive bonuses. And the more we grew and the bigger she grew into a leadership position, and the more revenue we had and the more things that she did, to increase our rate of growth, certainly well within my rights to pay her for that. And I really envisioned that. But for that kind of person, there are two kinds of people. There are people that have what they call skin in the game and people that don't. And I never asked her to, but if I had ever said, listen, I know we're running short. So why don't you get, you got whatever the highest credit score in the world is, you have it. Okay. So why don't you just apply, for some credit, like as a credit line, or why don't you just apply, for a business credit card or even a personal credit card where you got $20,000 worth of credit, so that when we're going broke and we need to pay for this marketing, we can put it on your credit card and then the firm will pay you back. I never said that. If I'd said it, I don't know if she would have like slapped me or passed out or run to the bathroom and thrown up. Okay. So it was never really going to work, because what she would be really good at is going into a company that makes 10 or 20 or $100 million a year and, trimming out the fat. She'd be really good at finding efficiencies because she's a penny pincher and she's diligent and she cares and she would want to help the organization. And that's what she tried to do to my organization, but that's not what we needed. I needed somebody to jump off the cliff with me and guide me and tell me sometimes don't jump off this cliff or don't jump off it yet. So that's what it takes. And if you don't have what it takes and you're not going to have the idea that you can become more comfortable being uncomfortable, then owning a business, owning a criminal defense law firm is really a miserable life, okay? Until it isn't. It's a miserable life until it isn't. So you've got to get through that desert or that hell or that fire or whatever you want to call it before it's good. So do you have what it takes? I hope so. If you have a dream. If you have a dream, I hope you have what it takes. If you want to know more, if you want to find out specifically what to do to start a law firm or to grow your law firm, you can always go to prosperatlaw.com, schedule a call. If you do that, there'll be a call. I'll be on the phone with you. There's no cost. There's no obligation. Prosperatlaw.com, schedule a call. If you want a free talk with me for 45 minutes, talk to me for free to get some questions answered with no obligation, go to prosperatlaw.com and schedule a call. Thanks for listening.
If you want to know more, go to prosperatlaw.com. We show criminal defense law firm owners how to reduce stress, have more free time, and make more money. Thanks for listening.